All right. This one's gonna be for like Miles Morales fans out there, because I put out a short. So Blade has become his new baddie as whatnot. But I guess Marvel has turned Spider-Man Miles Morales into a vampire, and they tell us it may be permanent. Although there's nothing really permanent in Marvel, as we know, but they try. Alright, in case you haven't heard, Marvel is currently in the midst of a vampire invasion known as Blood Hunt. The Heroes vs. Vampires epic has had a few plot twists, including a betrayal by Blade, a big baddie now, lots of gory action, and Spider-Man turning into a vampire. That's right, Miles Morales is now a vampire, and it looks like this isn't a one-off thing. Why did Marvel turn Miles into a vampire, and what's their long-term plan? Let's sink our teeth into this one. Alright, let's see how it happened. Before we go any further, some of you might be wondering when and how Spider-Man became a vampire. Well, Blood Hunt Edition 2, written by Jed McKay and penciled by Pepe Larraz, ended with Miles suddenly turning into a vampire, with no hints of what caused his transformation. Miles is seen with other heroes throughout the issue, but we never see him get bit by any vampires. Oh, there you go. If you're opening up Blood Hunt Edition 3, looking for answers, then you'll be disappointed. Doctor Strange puts an enchantment on Miles, keeping the boy's vampiric urges at bay. However, the boy still has elfish ears and vampire fangs. There. Miles explains that Blade told him to go after Bloodline. That's Blade's daughter. But that's the extent of it. The answers come in Miles Morales Spider-Man Edition 21, written by Cody Ziegler, penciled by Brett Peoples and Daniel Picciotto. During a flashback, we see Blade meet up with Miles to discuss the Blood Hunt crisis. Miles is unaware that Blade is the secret villain behind the vampire invasion, and by the time his spider senses warn him, it's too late. Blade takes a bite out of Miles' neck, transforming the young hero into a vampire. That's right, Blade has transformed Miles Morales into a vampy. If someone was just reading Miles Morales Spider-Man, they would probably be confused. It looks like Blood Hunt is essentially reading for Miles fans. Alright, but Marvel's going all in. I'll be honest, I originally wrote off Miles Morales' vampiric transformation. The Blood Hunt crossover had already seen Doctor Strange and Black Panther turn into vampires, so Miles' turn at the end of Blood Hunt Edition 2 didn't phase him. I assume that was one of those crossover plot developments that would be resolved before the end of the storyline. In fact, when I wrote up my weekly roundup, or when he wrote up his weekly roundup news, he said the biggest development for Miles was a date with Kamala Khan. All right, let's see. And then Marvel sent out a press release. The promotional message indicated that Spider-Man's transformation was a big deal, and it would be lasting beyond Blood Hunt. Well, that doesn't mean too much, right? Miles Morales' harrowing transformation and pivotal mission for Blade's vampire army will be one of the most dramatic ramifications coming out of Blood Hunt. Not only will it be explored throughout the main event series and tie-in issues of his current ongoing solo series, Miles' vampiric infection will continue to impact the character moving forward in Cody Ziegler's and Federico Vicentini's run. Don't believe us? See for yourself in the cover where Miles sinks his teeth into his fellow vigilante and girlfriend, Starling. Marvel writes. Ooh. I had to see that. It's like, damn, dude. Damn. The press release also includes a statement by Miles Morales Spider-Man writer Cody Ziegler. I'm looking forward to having Miles juggle the pressures of being a friendly nebulous Spider-Man with the added threat of not knowing if he'll snap at any moment. Being struck in a constant aggressive fight or flight mode when you lift 10 tons will present some interesting dilemmas for our boy, he writes. This statement was accompanied by the cover of Miles Morales Spider-Man Edition 23, which shows a vampiric Miles preparing to bite Starling. The issue goes on sale August 14th, weeks after the conclusion of Bloodhunt. When you look at the language in the press conference, the release date of Miles Morales, the edition, Spider-Man Edition 23, appears Miles Morales will continue to be a thing once Bloodhunt is over. In fact, it might even be the new status quo. That's an interesting and surprising move. Especially with a big dramatic change when Miles has been such a big character, and like Miles is probably the singular success of like a really an alternate Spider-Man that is like a different race. So that is like, so when you do a big change like that, that's interesting. I mean, because Miles Morales is one of those rare popular characters that has a different orientation. It's not like a character replacement of Spider-Man. It's another version of Spider-Man, a different race. Miles is very popular. It succeeded. That's interesting. So, Marvel's version of permanent is different than our own. Alright. So before we go any further, I should note that Marvel has a different definition of the word permanent than most people do. Many times when Marvel talks about a permanent status quo change, it's usually undone sooner or later. Most of the big status quo changes have been undone. Let's see, Jean Grey died, but then she came back. Spider-Man revealed his identity to the world, and then used a magic spell to make them forget. Ben Grimm was permanently cured of being the Thing until he wasn't. So, permanent in Marvel is not necessarily actually permanent. It's also possible that this vampiric thing will be over this year. Whoops. And Marvel is just using the press release to get fans excited about the storyline. To be fair, that's what a press release is for. Either way, when Marvel says this is a status quo change and implies that it's permanent, I'll remind you, and I don't see anywhere in here that it really kind of does. I'll remind you that X-Men have attended multiple funerals for Jean Grey, a character who is still alive. Alright, so why is Marvel changing Miles Morales into a vampire? Whether the change is permanent or not, we can't help but wonder what Marvel is thinking. Miles Morales is one of those Marvel's most recognizable characters, rivaling Peter Parker. Why mess with a good thing? That's actually what I kind of mentioned earlier. I'm speculating, but it's possible the Marvel editorial wanted to do something to make Miles a more unique character compared to Peter. That's the reasoning Marvel gave when they turned Ben Reilly into the villainous Chasm. Writing in The Amazing Spider-Man Edition 93 back in 2022. And the reasoning. I wanted to thank and apologize isn't quite the right word to the Ben Reilly fans out there. Ben is an incredible character who didn't really have a place in the Spider landscape anymore. Peter Parker isn't going anywhere, and Miles Morales is here to stay. So Ben has been a challenge for us, and we thought the story gave us an opportunity to not only give Ben a last run as Spider-Man, and to do a rare thing in the world of superhero comics, a tragedy. With most of our characters locked in internal roles, a truly tragic story is very rare, and we hope we did Ben justice with it. So that's a little bit of an example. This letter was about Ben Reilly. It can easily be applied to Miles Morales' current situation. Marvel may have decided that turning Miles into a vampire would set him aside from the rest of the Spider-Verse. And I'm of two minds about this move. On one hand, I think it complicates Miles in one way that isn't needed. His Brooklyn... Whoa. Pardon me? My coffee is worn off. His Brooklyn Spider-Man struggling to navigate his teenage years while saving the world. He's also managing his personal relationships with his friends and family. That's a simple concept. Adding struggle to overcome vampire urges is one ingredient too many. It's too big. You know, the character's already successful. Why do you need to add that? Why is it needed when Miles Morales is already growing in popularity even more? It's too big of a character development, causing it to overshadow some of the things that make Miles' story so special. And yeah, that can get in the way of his character. On the other hand, If Cody Ziegler can pull this off, this has the potential to be the most interesting Miles Morales comic book storyline since the Ultimate Universe ended. This opens up new struggles for Miles, putting the hero in uncharted territory. I don't like what it does to his ongoing status quo, but for it, well, it could be well worth it. I think all of it is really good for Blade, though. I think Blade is like the big thing from this. Like, Blade has been stale too long, and a good change. And if that means turning into a villain, so be it. Blade was always an anti-hero anyway, so he's not a hero or a heroic character by any means. Vampire Miles Morales seems like a bad idea, but it might wind up becoming one of the greatest things that's ever happened to the character. So contrary. Corporate synergy. While we all love believing that storytelling is driving these characters, in reality, Marvel is ruled by corporate synergy. The next time a big Marvel film comes out, pay attention to the comics that are being published at the time. For example, the film Amazing Spider-Man features the Lizard as the villain. And then check out the comics Marvel published the month the film was released and look at who the villain is in Amazing Spider-Man was. That's just a small example, I'm assuming Lizard Man. But if you look for the patterns, you'll see that Marvel Comics makes an effort to tie in with the films. This isn't necessarily a bad business decision, since the films are seen by millions, and any of those viewers could become a new comic reader. Either way, the pattern is so predictable and that when Ms. Marvel died last year, cynical fans noted that she would probably be back before the Marvels hit theaters. And they were right. With that in mind, let's remember how successful Sony's Spider-Man verse films are. Those movies have made Miles Morales a household name. The first one won an Oscar for Best Animated Feature, and the sequel was nominated for the same category. These films are a big deal, so I don't think Marvel Comics is too eager to move Miles further away from his cinematic counterpart. Marvel wants young fans leaving the theaters after Beyond the Spider-Verse to pick up a comic without being too confused. Seeing Miles Morales as a vampire might confuse a new reader, then again, it might intrigue them. In the age of YouTube recaps, maybe a new reader won't be intimidated by all the continuity. Yeah. Plus, maybe Marvel believes in a new direction enough they'll be willing to go all in on Vampire Miles. Maybe, but I doubt it. In fact, Popverse is betting that Spider-Man Vampire days will be over by the time Beyond the Spider-Verse hits theaters. Some vampires are defeated by a stake through the heart, but for Miles, his stake will be corporate synergy. I think it's fine. I think it's cool. At least short term. Again, I'm taking a lot of it from Blade. I think Blade is really cool. I mean, I was kind of shocked at first when I heard about Miles turning into a vampire. I was like, oh, I don't know about this. He's Spider-Man, right? He's a Spider-Man character. But it's just another way for them to get more views short term. But hopefully they. I mean, if it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. We'll know. But I'm looking forward to the Blade stuff. Miles Morales already popular, already doing well. We'll see what happens. So hopefully he defeats his urges. I know that was a big Blade thing. It's like they swapped places for just temporarily. Blade is taking the villain spot. If you live life long enough, you'll become the villain. So, alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you like and subscribe for more. Again, the Marvel stuff do well on views, so. Y'all take care and have a good one.